This is the first episode of the Mindful Noize podcast. I'd like to start off by saying thank you to everyone that supported this idea, everyone that knew about it, and everyone that actually helped me build this whole platform. And I did promise you guys the first episode, so here it is. Unfortunately, for this first episode, it's only me, so no interesting conversations. But I'd like to start off by introducing myself. My name is Noel, and there's a reason as to why I wanted to start this podcast. I wanted to share with you guys the life around me, the people I have around me, and what I've been through as a person. I know I'm only 18, going into 19. I may not have been through as much as other people, but there's always a reason to start by telling your story. So I'm only a teenager, and I'm still going through my teenage years. I only have like 1 year. I know, don't make fun of me, but I was born in Portsmouth, but I was raised in London. I come from a very different background, unusual background, and I mean, growing up, I had a family, but it was a very unusual family. And there's always problems in other families. And I'd like to say the first problem began when my dad passed away when I was 3. I know you're thinking, oh, 3-year-old, that's not a lot. But like, growing up not knowing your dad and hearing stories about him is a very tough kind of thing. Because, like, you wish that you still had him around. But then again, shortly after, not too short, don't judge her, my mom decided to get married. I married a wonderful man who is still my stepdad, but I don't consider him my stepdad. He's my dad, despite the biological or the science behind it or whatever. But this man has taken care of me my whole life, and I'm forever grateful for him. But like, as a child, I've been through enough knowing that, seeing and knowing that my mom was struggling when she had me, seeing the tough life that she had to go through just to bring me and raise me in this country alone. And obviously, it's still the hardest thing as a child, watching her and hearing her cry whenever you were in her room, praying for your safety, and knowing the background that she's been through, where she had come from such an abusive background, where people would slander her, call her a liar, and basically mistreat her for being this woman that she was. Like, she was I don't know how to explain it, but she was this great woman that people had a problem with for no reason, which obviously in this world, it's obvious. People always have a problem with you, no matter what. And you're never always a good person in someone else's story. So I feel like that's one of the first problems I ever went through. Going through that hard phase with my mom, knowing that, like, I feel like knowing that my dad wasn't around. But even though I may not remember most of it, because obviously I was a child, I've heard stories and I've been told the kind of hardship that she went through just to raise me in this damn country. And growing up under this amazing woman that everyone for some reason like always call her a liar, they would always slander her. for no absolute reason, and the type of stuff that she had to go through, it kind of also meant that I had to be in that shadow as well. She'd have friends stab her in the back. She'd have family stab her in the back. But then she would always refuse to tell her story. So I always promised myself that I would always use any platform that I had to tell her story and to also tell my story, because eventually I know it is hers and I know she did go through it alone. But it's also my story as well, because I'm her. I'm a piece of her. And honestly, everyone can talk about it and say that, oh, just because your mom went for it doesn't mean you didn't go for it. But like, the years of suffering and the years of watching her pray, watching her cry, I went through it too. Growing up, my dad's side of the family never wanted me because they never wanted my mother in the first place. They'd slander her. They'd call her a prostitute. They'd call her someone who was trying to give away her daughters for money, a gold digger. And you can imagine like how hard it was hearing the stuff from your mom while tears streaming down her face, like, and knowing that she was never this kind of woman. Because here I am today. If she was someone that would give away her daughters for money, I wouldn't be here today. And then having to go back to try and forgive my dad's side of the family multiple times, but they turn me away, call me a liar as well, call my mom a liar, tell me to go swear at my mom in Swahili, which was crazy. They'd turn me away like I was some sort of charity case. They give me money and be like, it's almost like, don't come back, never come back. There's no need for you to come to us. And just like through the first 10 years of my life, this was literally the ongoing story. Despite having a happy family, yes, I had my dad, my dad now. I had my mom, and my little brother was born as well. It was still tough watching, because I knew that it still had this deep kind of pain rooted in like my family. And it was hard watching them to try and like grasp around that like reality, because all my mom ever wanted was a happy family, especially coming from a poor background. And it was hard watching her try and grasp at that reality and forget every single hardship that she's been through. So with that saying, going through all of that in the first 10, 11 years of my life, it was hard for a child to actually see all of this stuff happening in front of her eyes and being turned away like a charity case, and feeling lonely because you can't even turn to your mom, because you know the minute you turn to your mom, you're gonna break her even more, and you're gonna break your family. You know, it's a lot of pressure as a child to go through something like that. And I don't think anyone like really understands the idea. Like anyone that I've told, obviously, they really understand the idea of like watching her like physically cry, like her eyes out. I know she never knew if I could see, but you could hear her. You could see her, and even in her words, you'd hear the pain. Obviously, me being a child, it was very hard for me to grasp that kind of reality. And starting secondary school, everything was overwhelming. I was this new child. Obviously, you know, that transition from like primary to secondary school, and then knowing that it was so hard, even though everything was going right in my family, everything, was fine. I still felt like that emptiness, that hardship was still going to be there, and it's still that pain of not knowing who my dad was, but hearing all these stories and hearing how his own damn family mistreating him, hearing all that pain, sorrow. Honestly, it was so hard. I started having feelings of where maybe my family would be better off without me, because I kept feeling that this all happened to my mum because of me. She wouldn't have been rejected by her family. She would have been loved and cared for by her family. I had to cut off the video. I can't lie. I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, I felt like it was a burden, because none of this would have happened if it wasn't for me. She still would have been happy. And they wouldn't have done what they did to her if it wasn't for me. As a 12-year-old watching your mom cry, it was crazy. It was a lot of pressure on you, because that's all you heard. All you heard was, you're here because of your mom, you know? And all you hear is like, okay, you're like, okay, she went through all of this, but like she wouldn't have gone through what she went through if it wasn't for me. If I hadn't been born, she wouldn't have gone through that tough kind of life with my family, with my dad's side, rejecting her, ridiculing her, calling her slut, calling her this, calling her that, you know? She wouldn't have to go through that pain. So, as any, at the time, obviously, my iman, my faith wasn't as strong. As any person with low iman, I started thinking maybe they'd be better off without me. I slowly started having thoughts. And obviously, I started thinking, you know, maybe I'm not supposed to be here. Maybe, I put too much pressure on my family. Maybe I put too much pressure. Maybe if I left, it would be a perfect little family. My sister, my brother, mom, my dad. She wouldn't have to worry about my dad's side of the family. She wouldn't have to worry about any of that. And constantly having to look at me and constantly see that reminder, because apparently, like people say, I look like my grandma from my dad's side. It's a constant reminder that was the same woman that put her through pain. But obviously, alhamdulillah, I managed to speak up about it. And I was having a tough time in secondary school as well, so you can imagine how overwhelmed I was. But I managed to speak up about it, told my teachers. Until this day, I'm grateful for them. Constant therapy, constant checking up on me, constantly speaking to me, asking if I was okay. And I went to a Muslim school, so alhamdulillah, they restored my faith. I was given different da'as, I was given different things to speak about and listen to, different talks. Obviously, my teachers helped me. And then eventually my parents found out. And again, I caused heartbreak for my mum, because she was like, why is my daughter thinking about this stuff? She'd constantly call me. She'd be like, are you home? I'd be like, yeah, I'm home. Or she'd be like, did you get to school? I had to constantly call her to make sure that I was home, because I'd have ideas of maybe just what would it be like if I just walked, into the road. But alhamdulillah, after all of that and a long talk with my family and my teachers, I managed to get out of my head. But then, not long after, long story short, to avoid problems, when I was 16, I was sexually harassed. I'm not going to say about who, when, or where, but I was sexually harassed, and it constantly kept happening to me. And I couldn't tell anyone because it was hard. Like, I kept thinking, what would people think about me? With all this ethnic kind of thing. And I hate it so much. But this ethnic idea of like, if you're touched, you're basically a slut, basically. And it was really hard, and it was kind of an embarrassing topic to tell to like, how the hell are you gonna sit down with your parents and tell them what's the first thing you're gonna say to your mom? Like, some guy touched me inappropriately. Like, it's crazy. So going through that, I had to endure it because the person that was doing it was a close family member, and I love this person a lot because I saw them as like this idol. Because my family loved this person a lot. My sister loved this person a lot. Like, everyone that I knew loved this person. Like, great, great. Like, they just loved him. And it was hard, kind of like processing all of that. And I couldn't tell anyone because I was so ashamed of what was going on. I know it's wrong, but I was so ashamed. So I had to endure all of that for at least a year till I could open it. I could open up. It was scary because it kept progressively like getting worse, and it was just the most scariest thing of my life. It was hard to open up until I finally did. And that's when everything unraveled. And anyone that knew me around that time would know that I cried so hard because anything that I said, no one believed me because they're thinking it's a 16-year-old, it's a 17-year-old. They're probably like lusting for people. But the question was like, why would I lust for that one person? Why that one person and not go out and lust over other people? Which was crazy. It was hard to believe. So everyone called me a liar. Family members, well, not my parents, family members called me a liar. They said you were lusting over this person. Maybe you wanted this person first. Even the person said that you wanted me first, and I was like, how, how? When there was no reciprocation aside from a simple hug, because this person was a relative, like who I loved the most. Like I said, not in that way, but I looked up to them as a idol, and I cared for this person deeply, the same way I care for everyone else in my life. And what that person did to me was the biggest betrayal of my life, to be honest. It was the biggest betrayal. And everyone I told, my best friend, my sister, everyone called me a liar. And it was hard. It was hard when you're trying to open up, especially after that long, and you feeling so shameful about something like this, and everyone will call you a liar because of like ethnic appropriate, and or maybe because I was too scared to go to the police about this whole thing. But like, once you've had a background of going to the police and seeing all the circumstances in your family, like obviously not a background where I was arrested, but like it's a whole different background. Going through all this court stuff, and it was hard to put your family through that again. Till eventually, with the encouragement of my parents, I managed to open up to the police and managed to look for counselling. But then again, going back on that, where everyone was calling me a liar and like those insecurities are rising, and you know, again, my first last year of college, it was overwhelming. And anyone that knew me around that time, it was very, very hard to actually get those thoughts out of my head. But then, subhanAllah, it wasn't about my faith anymore. And I know my faith, even though my faith was still low, I started thinking maybe if Allah just gave me a rest, maybe if Allah was just like, you know what, you need to rest. Let me take you, my servant. Those were the thoughts in my head. It wasn't about me wanting to like walk onto the street or walk off a bridge or whatever. But it was more of the idea of when will Allah take me so I can rest with all these thoughts in my mind. And I hated it so much. I hated it so, so much. And with the counseling from a Muslim counselor, eventually I hope she ever gets to hear this, Muslim counselor, She helped me, even though it was a couple of weeks of me speaking to her, but she helped me get through it. My closest friends, my college friends, my closest friends, they all helped me get through it. I was betrayed by some people where they call me liars. But then again, again in the future you learn to forgive but never forget. And it's hard. But that's what you learn. You learn to forgive but not forget. And it was horrifying. I was only 16 when it first happened. Going into 17, it was just it was a crazy time of my life. It was the craziest time of my life. It was hard to process. But then eventually I managed to get over it. After days, months, in fact, of crying my heart out to Allah, crying my heart out to my family, asking them and begging them to believe me for something like this. But nothing could fill that void of betrayal and knowing that there are people that are so fake, two-faced, and it's so hard to actually see through who they are, who they really are, until something goes wrong. Until something in their life goes wrong, or until something in your life goes wrong, and you see who's quick to turn their back on you, or who's quick to call you a liar, who's quick to blame you, who's quick to do this. Like, it's hard watching those people do that. Who's willing to listen to you and hear you out? It's hard because, unfortunately, people in this dunya don't do that. People in this world, they don't do that. Everyone's just quick to turn around and blame you, like, you, point fingers, you, it's you, it's you. It's crazy. No one hears anyone out anymore. So again, going back to the reason as to why I wanted to start this podcast is I want people to hear people out. I want people to hear my story. I want people to hear me out for stuff that I've been going through internally. And no matter how much like I've been through, till this day, like that one little part of me especially, I hate it when people like point out other people for no reason, no absolute reason, and not allowing them to give an explanation as to why or if they've done what they've done. And that's what I hate. I hate the most about the people in this world. Like, I get it. I understand as a person you're hurt. I understand that maybe an individual has done something to you. And you're like, okay, I don't want to listen to them. I don't want to hear them talk. And I know because I've been through that. I've given it time, subhanAllah. There's been people that I've fought with and I've given them time. Even with my dad's side of the family, they didn't want to listen to me. They didn't want to hear me out. They didn't even want to see me. They didn't even want me in their family. But subhanAllah, I kept going back. And inshallah, in the future, maybe I'll try again. Kept going back to go see my family. Kept seeing if there's a change in their heart, maybe I could forgive. And maybe I could like get my mum to forgive. And maybe all that pain could go away. So I hate it when people don't listen to each other. Which is why, again, I created this podcast so people can listen to each other, hear each other out, and, get to know people, like my guests, the people that I have in mind, get to know them on a deeper level and knowing why they are who they are. And subhanAllah, it's hard in this world. It's really, really hard. And I understand that everyone has been betrayed by someone. Everyone has been hurt by someone. Whether it's romantically or, through family or whatever, emotionally damaged, It's hard. But I hope that with this podcast, people could learn to actually listen to each other, talk it out, you know? It's a hard thing to do. Yes, I understand. But, it's the most important thing. And if you're Muslim and you're listening to this, innocent till proven guilty, which is why I'm never quick to blame anyone. Like, yeah, as siblings, okay, yeah, I know my parents are going to be listening to this too, but like, yeah, as siblings, you're quick to blame your sibling. That's normal. It's normal. But on a bigger scale, think about it. Why would that person do that? Or why would that person, like, why would that person do what they did? Or maybe there's a reason behind it. And even for the person that did what they did to me when I was a child, an innocent child, I still forgive them. Deep down, I know it looks like I don't forgive them because, yeah, there is resentment because you ruined my innocence. But I forgive them because you don't know what they've been through in their entire childhood. You don't know what kind of psychological abuse they've been through, what kind of hardships they've been through. And for the sake of Allah, I forgive everyone. I'm gonna start off this podcast. For the sake of Allah, I forgive everyone that's ever wronged me. And even if you don't know, even if you don't know me, but I've wronged you, like don't know me on a personal level, but like I've wronged you. I pray that you can find it in your heart to forgive me as well. Because as a person, you commit stuff, you do stuff that wrong other people. But inshallah, we can all find it in our hearts to forgive each other and hear each other out, no matter how long it takes for you to be ready to listen to another person. But inshallah, you can find it in your heart to listen to each other and just talk it out. So without saying anything, I wanna say, obviously, okay, this is emotional, but before I go, I wanna say thank you again to everyone that supported me with this idea, everyone that knew about it while I was working on this. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for shouting me out on your profiles, guys. So, thank you so much. And I hope that this podcast brings a lot of peace to other people. And if you're someone who wants people to hear your story and wants people to know and wants to open up to the world and want people to know what like hardships you've gone through just to help other people, feel free to shout me out and let me know. So I'm gonna sign off now. Bye. Thank you for listening to Mindful Noize episode 1.